Hello, and welcome back to SciSleep. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've had a very long day. A day filled with noise, worries, or simply a mind that refuses to rest. But that's okay. Right now, let me help you leave all of that outside your bedroom door. Tonight, we won't travel far away. We won't fly into galaxies millions of light years from Earth. Instead, we'll stay right here, on this blue planet, a home we sometimes become so busy that we forget how peaceful and miraculous it truly is. This planet, Earth, is breathing together with you. Before we begin this quiet journey, let me ask you something. Where are you right now? Curled beneath a warm blanket? Leaning back on a sofa beside a cup of tea that has already gone cold? Or perhaps you're riding a late-night train, watching city lights slide across the window like streaks of memory. Wherever you are, make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Come on now, relax your shoulders a little. That's right. Loosen your jaw and allow your breathing to find its natural rhythm. Slower, much slower. Tonight, I've prepared a collection of the quietest wonders of the natural world, from creatures capable of reversing time itself to live forever, to ancient forests where trees whisper to each other through hidden fungal networks beneath the soil. You know, sometimes I wonder if Earth is trying to tell us something through its silence. The discoveries we're about to experience together, they're not just science. To me, they feel like gentle reassurances, proof that life is more resilient, more tender, and more connected than we often realize. And if peaceful journeys like this help lighten your heart, don't forget to subscribe. It's like sending a tiny signal back to me, letting me know I'm still traveling beside you, one late sleeping soul at a time, one night after another. But that's for later. Right now, the only thing you need to do is close your eyes. Or if you'd like, let the soft glow of the screen guide your imagination. Our journey begins in the warm waters of the Mediterranean, where a tiny creature is quietly challenging one of nature's oldest laws, the law of death itself. Are you ready? Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Let's begin. 1. Immortal life and endless cycles. Imagine yourself floating gently through the warm waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Beneath you, within the deep blue silence, lives a tiny creature so fragile it seems as though the slightest touch could make it disappear. The jellyfish known as Turritopsis dohrnii. People call it the immortal jellyfish, a name that sounds powerful and majestic, but in truth, it is something far gentler than that. When this jellyfish faces danger, or when its body begins to grow old, it does not choose to die. Instead, it performs something that feels almost mythical. It reverses time itself. It transforms its own cells, shrinks its body, and returns to its polyp form, like a child climbing back into its cradle. You see, in nature, sometimes an ending is not truly an ending at all, but simply an invitation to begin again. I wonder if human beings could also release all their exhaustion and bloom again the way this jellyfish does, how peaceful the world might become. Every time it rebirths itself, it begins another cycle of life, young and full of vitality once more, an endless rhythm, drifting, repeating. Now let's leave the ocean behind for a moment and walk slowly across the crackling leaves of the mountains in Utah, North America. Before you stretches a glowing forest of golden aspen trees beneath the evening sunlight. But there is a secret hidden there. This entire forest, with its tens of thousands of trunks, is actually a single living organism. It is called Pando. Beneath your feet, deep inside the dark and silent earth, lies a massive root system connecting everything together. Pando has lived this way for over 80,000 years. 80,000 years. Think about that for a moment. Before the first human civilizations even existed, Pando was already there. It witnessed ice ages passing across the earth, blazing summers, and the long silence of time itself. Each tree you see may die eventually, but the roots endure forever. It never needs to rush. It simply continues, patiently sending new life upward from its ancient foundation. Standing beside Pando makes our daily worries feel very small, doesn't it? Earth always finds a way to preserve what matters most, even across tens of thousands of years. And finally, in this chapter, I want to tell you about a tiny seed, a date palm seed forgotten inside an ancient palace for 2,000 years. 2,000 years resting in darkness, within the dry silence of the desert. Eventually, someone discovered it, offered it a little water, a little care. And do you know what happened? It sprouted. How extraordinary. That tiny green shoot waited through 2 entire millennia simply to meet the sunlight of today. Life never rushes. It knows how to wait. It understands that no matter how long the night becomes, no matter how many centuries silence may last, the moment to bloom is always waiting somewhere ahead. And perhaps you are the same way. Sometimes we feel trapped or lost, but maybe we are simply in a season of waiting, just like that seed once was. So rest peacefully tonight, because Earth itself moves according to cycles filled with patience and compassion. Everything arrives in its own time. 2. The silent network of connection. Now, let your mind drift away from those sleeping seeds and sink deeper with me, deeper beneath the soft, damp soil of an ancient forest. Can you hear anything? Not the sound of wind moving through the leaves above, but a quiet vibration beneath your feet. People often imagine trees as lonely giants, standing beside each other without truly interacting. But the truth is far more beautiful than that. Below the forest floor exists an enormous network of microscopic fungal threads connecting the roots of one tree to another. Scientists call it the wood wide web, nature's own internet. Through this network, ancient mother trees can recognize when their young saplings are struggling beneath the heavy shade of the forest canopy, and they send sugar, nutrients, and support through those fungal pathways to nourish them. How strange. Even when a tree is dying, it often releases its final nutrients back into the underground network, like a final will and testament offered to the rest of the forest. They know how to care for one another, silently, without needing praise or recognition. And sometimes I think, perhaps human beings are the same. Perhaps invisible threads always connect us to the people we love, whether we notice them or not. Now leave behind the cool shadows of the forest and allow the deep blue ocean to embrace you once more. We are floating in the middle of a vast sea, surrounded by darkness and stillness. But do you know something? The ocean has never truly been silent. Beneath the waves, blue whales are singing. Songs with frequencies so deep, the human ear can barely hear them completely. And yet those songs travel for thousands of miles, crossing underwater mountains and brilliant coral reefs. Each whale population has its own language, its own identity. They call to one another, search for one another, and share stories about their endless journeys across the immense ocean. And then there are dolphins. You might be surprised to learn that every dolphin creates its own unique name through a signature whistle while it is still young. And their companions remember that name for life. They are not merely animals. They are individuals with identity, emotion, and empathy. Within this frighteningly vast ocean, they never allow one another to remain alone. A single call echoes outward, and somewhere beyond the horizon, another voice always answers back. And when I think about empathy, I also think about elephants wandering across dusty grasslands. Have you ever seen a herd of elephants stop beside the skeleton of an old companion? They do not pass by carelessly. They stop very slowly. They reach out with their trunks, gently touching and holding those old bones, almost as though turning through the pages of memory itself. There is a sadness inside the eyes of elephants that feels deeply human. They understand grief, loss, and loyalty. They protect one another until the very end. Giants with fragile hearts. This earth truly is a vast network of emotion and connection, from tiny fungal threads to the songs of whales, to the gentle touch of an elephant's trunk. Everything is quietly telling us the same thing. Life is not made of isolated individuals. It is a symphony of connection. Thinking about that makes you feel more peaceful, doesn't it? You are part of this great network too. You have never truly been alone, and you never will be. So let that connection wrap around you now, like a safe cocoon. Slow down, very slowly. 3. Tiny architects and collective intelligence. Let the song of the whales slowly dissolve into the void. And now, I want you to shrink smaller with me. Smaller still. Until we become nothing more than tiny grains of dust floating inside a single drop of morning dew resting on a leaf. There, we will meet one of the strangest creatures, and perhaps one of the most resilient creatures Earth has ever created. The tardigrade, also known as the water bear. Under a microscope, they look like tiny 8-legged teddy bears slowly waddling along, an image both ridiculous and adorable. But don't let their appearance fool you. Water bears are master architects of survival. When conditions become too harsh, when water disappears or temperatures rise high enough to burn, they do not die. Instead, they choose to curl inward. They push all the water out of their bodies, shrinking into a tiny dried form called a tun. In this state, every sign of life seems to stop completely. Do you know what is truly shocking? In 2007, scientists sent them into space, without protection, without oxygen, exposed only to the freezing emptiness and deadly radiation of the cosmos. And when they were brought back to Earth, all it took was a single drop of water, and they woke up, stretched themselves, and continued walking as if nothing had happened. Thinking about that makes me feel lighter somehow. Life, in one way or another, always finds a way to protect itself. no matter how harsh the world becomes around us. Sometimes, all we need is a moment to curl inward, to rest deeply, so we can gather enough strength to begin again when the water of hope finally returns. So tonight, allow yourself to become like the water bear. Release every pressure, curl safely inward, and wait peacefully for a new sunrise. Now let's leave that tiny dewdrop behind and glide softly across the forest floor, where fallen tree trunks slowly decay beneath flickering shadows. There lives a strange organism that looks like a streak of spilled yellow paint. We call it slime mold. Slime mold is not a plant, and it is not an animal either. It is a gigantic single-celled organism, and it has no brain. Sounds strange, doesn't it? How can a creature without a brain solve problems that humans sometimes require supercomputers to calculate? Scientists once placed slime mold inside a complex maze with food at both ends. And do you know what it did? It did not become lost. Instead, it spread outward in every direction, exploring every path, and afterward, it retracted all unnecessary branches, leaving behind only the shortest and most efficient route connecting the food sources. Its intelligence exists within its body itself. Every part of it knows what the other parts are doing through the pulsing movement of fluid flowing inside. Sometimes we become too dependent on thinking, calculating, forcing our anxious minds to solve everything. But when we look at slime mold, we realize nature has other forms of intelligence too. It simply listens to its environment and responds naturally to its rhythm. And perhaps tonight, you do not need to think so much either. Allow your body to find its own path towards sleep, naturally, the same way slime mold finds its way through the darkness of the forest. And when speaking about collective intelligence, we cannot ignore the living rivers of South America, the armies of army ants. Imagine millions of ants marching together, a flowing black river constantly in motion. When they encounter a gap or a deep crack in the earth, they do not stop. Can you hear those tiny clicking sounds as they connect to one another? The first ant clings to the edge of a rock. The second ant grips onto the first. Then the third, the fourth, until eventually a bridge made of living bodies is formed. Thousands of ants connect together, enduring the weight of the entire colony crossing across their backs. There is no commander standing above them, giving orders. Each ant simply senses the pressure around it. If the weight becomes heavier, it grips tighter. If the pressure decreases, it releases itself. A self-adjusting bridge, flexible and strong. The sacrifice of each tiny individual becomes the strength of the entire community. Earth has always worked this way. These tiny architects are teaching us something important. We are strongest when we lean on one another. So tonight, you are allowed to stop being a bridge for everyone else for a little while. Allow this bed, this room, and even my voice to support you instead. You are allowed to rest within a world filled with quiet forms of connection. And before we leave behind the world of these tiny creatures and move toward the vastness of the ocean, I want you to look at the towering termite mounds of Africa, enormous towers of Earth, standing firmly against the brutal heat and cold of the desert. Inside them, millions of termites live within a perfectly stable temperature, always around 24 degrees Celsius, no matter how scorching or freezing the outside world becomes. The termites designed complex ventilation shafts and air tunnels to harness natural airflow and convection. No electricity, no machines, only architecture and instinct. Everything in nature already contains its own solution, elegant and sustainable. This world is far more organized than we realize, even in the smallest things. And you are part of that order too. Your nervous system knows how to calm itself. Your breathing knows how to become deeper. Everything inside you is slowly returning to the rhythm of rest. Slow down, very slowly. 4. The ocean, a world of light and darkness. Now, let me guide you away from those termite towers. Imagine yourself standing on an empty beach beneath a moonless night. The ocean breeze brushes softly against your skin, carrying the cool, salty scent of the sea. You step barefoot onto the sand, and the moment your feet touch the water, oh, a miracle appears. Beneath every step you take, the water suddenly glows with an ethereal blue light, as though you were walking across fallen stardust from the sky itself. This is bioluminescence. The ocean does not need electricity. It does not need streetlights. It illuminates itself through tiny plankton drifting beneath the waves. Whenever movement disturbs the water, a crashing wave, a gentle current, or even the touch of your foot, millions of these organisms release chemical energy, creating cold, shimmering lights, beautiful and silent. I once spent hours simply watching the waves roll onto shore, carrying ribbons of glowing blue light with them. It made the world feel so mysterious. You know, this light produces no heat. It is a pure and gentle kind of light, existing only to signal life itself. Even within the overwhelming darkness of the ocean, life still finds its own way to shine. And tonight, you do not need to become a blazing torch standing out in the crowd either. You only need to become a small light, peaceful, drifting quietly with the darkness around you. Allow that soft blue glow to comfort your eyes now. Slowly, a little deeper beneath the surface, below the vibrant coral reefs, there is an event that happens only once each year. It does not wait for humans. It waits for the moon. Can you believe it? Those silent coral reefs are actually among the most patient architects on Earth. They build enormous underwater cities using their own bodies over thousands of years. And on one specific full moon night, when ocean temperature and tides reach perfect balance, the entire reef breathes together. Millions upon millions of eggs and sperm are released simultaneously, forming a great underwater snowfall rising upward toward the surface. From a distance, it looks like a giant snow globe swirling inside the dark sea. A perfectly synchronized event, orchestrated by the gravity of the moon and the silent heartbeat of the ocean. Why do they do this? Because within the vast ocean, the chance of finding one another is very small, so they choose trust instead. Trust in one another. Trust in the rhythm of the universe itself, to begin new life together. Nature always has its perfect timing, whether we fully understand it or not. Sometimes our only task is simply to trust, to believe things will unfold when the time is right. You do not need to rush to grow. You do not need to rush to solve everything. Be like the coral reef, quietly gathering strength, waiting patiently for your own moonlight to arrive. And tonight, simply allow yourself to drift freely, without burden. Now, let's dive even deeper together, beyond the blue light, beyond the coral reefs, into the eternal darkness below. Welcome to the abyss, a place where sunlight has never touched, The pressure here is immense enough to crush nearly everything we know. And yet, life still exists there. Fish carrying glowing lanterns upon their heads, transparent squid resembling floating glass, and giant tube worms living beside volcanic vents releasing boiling acidic water. And somehow, they are not frightening at all. Within that complete darkness, they move slowly, gracefully. They do not rely on eyes to find one another. Instead, they sense existence through vibration, temperature, and through a quiet respect for the stillness of the abyss itself. There is something strangely peaceful about this place. A world without the noise of the surface, without harsh light, only the compassionate embrace of darkness. It reminds me that even in the harshest, loneliest places imaginable, life still discovers joy. It still finds ways to adapt and survive. And perhaps you also carry an abyss within yourself, a deep, silent place no one else can touch. So tonight, allow yourself to sink into that peaceful inner depth, a place where every worry becomes unable to survive the pressure of stillness and quietly dissolves away. And before we leave the ocean behind tonight, I want you to remember one final thing. Every breath you take right now contains a gift from the sea. More than half of Earth's oxygen does not come from rainforests. It comes from microscopic plankton and algae drifting across the oceans. When you breathe, you are connected to the sea. When you sleep, the ocean is still working quietly to purify the air for you. We have never truly been separate from it. Breathe in the freshness of the ocean. Exhale every burden of the land. The sea is holding you gently now. Softly, softly. Sleep now, my friend. 5. Strange truths about adaptation. Allow the breath of the ocean to fade softly into the distance. And now, I want you to open your eyes with me inside a garden overflowing with color. What do you see? The blue of the sky, the brilliant blue wings of a morpho butterfly drifting by, or the shimmering blue feathers of a peacock's tail. But there is a truth that may make you pause for a moment. In nature, the color blue is almost a beautiful illusion. Very few creatures on Earth actually possess blue pigment. Instead, they use something called structural color. Imagine those butterfly wings. They contain no blue paint at all. What you are seeing is created by microscopic structures on the surface of the wings that bend and scatter light in special ways, reflecting only blue wavelengths back toward your eyes. It is like a game between light and physics, a carefully orchestrated illusion created by biology itself. And sometimes I wonder, how much beauty in life is created through similarly gentle interactions? Perhaps we do not always need to naturally possess a certain quality. Sometimes, if we simply arrange our inner world carefully and learn how to receive light in the right way, we can shine beautifully in the exact way the world needs us to. Let this strange blue beauty comfort your mind now. You do not need to force yourself to become something rigid or artificial. Be flexible. Reflect the goodness surrounding you, and you will become radiant in the most natural way possible. Slow down, very slowly. Now, let us travel deeper into the forests of Africa, where chimpanzees quietly search for food. Watch closely. One chimpanzee appears exhausted. It ignores the sweet fruits and tender leaves nearby. Instead, it chews bitter leaves that no animal would normally want to eat. That is not food. It is medicine. Many wild animals possess an extraordinary instinct for healing. Chimpanzees eat antibiotic-rich leaves when injured. Monkeys swallow clay to neutralize toxins. Even birds line their nests with herbs capable of repelling parasites. They do not need medical degrees or laboratories. They simply listen to the wisdom inside their own bodies and to the guidance of the earth itself. Adaptation is not merely changing your appearance. It is understanding what is truly necessary for survival and healing. And when I look at them, I realize our own bodies are miracles too. Your body already knows how to rebalance itself, how to protect itself, as long as you allow it enough time and rest. So tonight, trust the pharmacist living within you. Your immune system, your heart, your mind, they are all quietly working to heal you after a long day. Your only task is to let go and allow the process to happen naturally. Now, let's leave the forest behind and travel north, where snowy woods stretch endlessly beneath winter skies. Beneath the frozen ground lies a wood frog, perfectly still. It is not simply hibernating. It is actually frozen solid. Its blood has stopped flowing. Its heart has stopped beating. Its body has become as rigid as ice itself. According to nearly every biological rule we know, this should mean death. But for the wood frog, this is adaptation at its finest. Its body produces a natural antifreeze that protects its cells from shattering when ice forms. It chooses to temporarily pause life in order to survive the brutality of winter. And when spring finally arrives, when sunlight melts the ice, its heart begins beating once more. One beat, then another, and suddenly it awakens, hopping away as though nothing ever happened. I find that deeply inspiring. Sometimes in life we experience our own emotional winters, moments when everything feels frozen and hopeless. But you see, a pause is not the same as an ending. Sometimes it is preparation. Tonight, when you close your eyes, imagine yourself freezing every worry and every pressure from the outside world. Allow your body and soul to enter complete rest. And tomorrow, when the sunlight of morning returns, you too will thaw, awaken, and continue your journey with renewed strength. Everything is okay. This pause is necessary for you. And before we finish this journey through adaptation, look toward the vast Sahara Desert. Few people realize that only 6,000 years ago, this desert was once green grassland filled with flowing rivers and wandering elephants. Earth is always transforming. What is sand today may become forest tomorrow, and what is forest today may one day become sand. Change is the only thing on this planet that never changes. Adaptation is how we learn to dance with that change. And you are adapting beautifully. You are doing far better than you think. Let the sands of time drift through your fingers. Let the snow of winter cover every burden, and allow yourself to rest within the endless transformation of all living things. Sleep deeply, sleep peacefully, within the embrace of Earth itself. 6. Philosophy and cosmic connection. Let the stories of adaptation slowly drift away. And now, I want you to feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into the bed. Feel your hands, your bones, and the steady rhythm beating inside your chest. You know, There is a truth that still gives me chills every time I think about its beauty. And it is not poetry, it is physics. The calcium inside your bones, the iron flowing through your blood, every carbon atom shaping your body. None of them were born here on Earth. They were forged inside the blazing furnaces of ancient giant stars, billions of years ago. When those stars died in magnificent supernova explosions, they scattered those precious elements into the vastness of space. Across endless eons of time, those particles gathered together, spinning and drifting, until finally, they became you. You are the universe, made human. You are not simply living on this world. You were created from this world. Think about that for a moment. Tonight, as you lie here resting, you are really a piece of stardust, finally pausing after a long journey through space and time. The universe is not somewhere far away. It is breathing through your lungs, dreaming through your eyes. There is something deeply peaceful about knowing we were never truly separated from that radiant origin. And you are not only connected to distant stars, you are connected right now to every blade of grass, every branch, through your breath itself. This earth, it is breathing too. You inhale oxygen, a gift from the forests and oceans we traveled through earlier tonight. Then you exhale carbon dioxide, nourishment for green leaves waiting outside. It is an eternal cycle, a silent and selfless exchange. You nourish the trees, and the trees nourish you. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is left behind. Sometimes we feel completely alone inside our private battles. But look at this breath for a moment. You are participating in a vast dance of life itself. Every breath is proof that you belong here. You are welcomed. You are supported. And you hold a place within this magnificent world that can never be replaced. Allow your breathing to slow, even more now, syncing itself with the rhythm of the planet. Rising, falling, softly, like waves touching the shore. There is one final thought I want you to carry into sleep tonight. Do you think you are a single, isolated being, a separate individual? In truth, you are an entire world. Right now, inside your body, trillions of microorganisms are living together. They work endlessly to protect you, digest your food, and keep your mind balanced. You are an ecosystem. You are a community. And the life inside you is far more resilient than you realize. This planet has already survived 5 mass extinctions, giant volcanoes, asteroid impacts, endless ice ages. Earth endured all of them. And after every catastrophe, life found its way back again. Not through force or arrogance, but through patience, adaptation, and love for existence itself. That resilience lives inside your DNA. So if something exhausted you today, if it feels like you are enduring some terrible collision in your life right now, remember this. You carry the blood of ancient survivors. You are capable of recovery. You are capable of healing. And tonight, sleep is the way you allow that resilience to perform its quiet miracle. Do not worry about tomorrow. Earth will continue turning. The stars will continue shining. And the network of life will continue supporting you. You only need to relax. Release the version of yourself that has been struggling so hard and return to being part of the stardust, part of the breath, part of eternal life itself. Everything, truly is okay. And so, we have finally reached the end of a very long and very quiet journey together. From the warm waters where a tiny jellyfish reverses time to become immortal, to the hidden fungal networks where ancient forests share nutrients with one another. We watched the ocean glow like a galaxy, listened to whale songs echo across thousands of miles, and discovered that even the dry Sahara Desert was once a lush, green paradise. I hope these wonders helped calm your mind tonight. Nature never rushes, and yet everything is accomplished. Earth does not need noise to prove its strength. It proves itself through patience, through the way it blooms again after thousands of years, through the way it heals itself after extinction. And you are the same way. You do not need to rush through your life. You do not need every answer tonight. Now, let all those images, facts, and numbers slowly drift away. They have already fulfilled their purpose. They comforted you. Now, they are only tiny particles of stardust, shimmering softly inside your mind. Feel the complete safety of this room. You are breathing peacefully. Earth outside is still turning peacefully. Everything is unfolding exactly the way it is meant to. Sometimes I think, sleep is the moment we return this body back to Earth for healing, so the planet can nourish exhausted cells once again, and the stars can relight forgotten dreams. And if you feel grateful for these quiet moments, if Sleep helped you find peace tonight, leave behind a small signal by subscribing. It's like a silent greeting between us. So tomorrow night, I can wait for you here again. But that is for tomorrow. Right now, there is only you and rest. Allow your heavy eyes to close completely now. Relax your toes. Relax your knees. Relax your mind. Life is still continuing out there. Somewhere, a coral reef is spawning beneath the moonlight. A bird is sleeping while gliding through the sky. A small seedling is quietly growing within the darkness. Everything is peaceful, and you are part of that peace too. You are loved by the very atoms that created you. Now, sleep. Sleep deeply. May your dreams become as beautiful as this planet itself. Good night. Sleep well, and I'll see you again in the place where dreams live.